Hello, I'm Isaac Ostrom. Thanks for checking out another one of my videos. I'm here in the Sacramento, California area, and we've always done things a more traditional way of setting tile in showers. Usually what we do is we have a hot mop, a hot tar shower pan, and we use green board sheetrock, and then over that we staple lath and do a mortar bed float on top of that. And I actually have a video on that, so you can check that out if you want. I was introduced to the Kerdi shower system about 4 or 5 years ago, and I never really bought into it. I wanted it to be out for a little while until it got a little more used and see if they had any kinks that they needed to work out. But I did my first shower about, I don't know, about 3 or 4 months ago, and it was an upstairs bathroom for a friend. And I was just I was helping them out. I wasn't really making money on the job, but they offered to pay for materials. And one thing that always kept me from doing the Kerdi was that the materials were pretty pricey as compared to deck mud, which is real cheap, and sheetrock, which is cheap. And so they offered to pay for the materials. So I said, okay, you pay for the materials and I'll install it. So that was the first one I did, and it was upstairs, and I was able to carry like all 5 sheets of board that I needed all the way up the stairs. Didn't have to deal with any sheetrock, and I did my first one, and I was like, wow, this is cool. And so anyways, I wanted to make a video on doing a Kerdi shower with the Kerdi-Board. Now there's a couple ways to do the Kerdi. Kerdi is actually the waterproofing felt that it's a real thin layer of waterproofing felt, and you can actually thin set that over sheetrock or whatever else to waterproof it, and it's just a real thin membrane, and it comes in 3-foot rolls, and then it has like a 6-inch band for the corner. But they came out with Kerdi-Board not too long ago. Maybe a year ago is the first time I saw it. Maybe, no, it's been longer, a couple years. And they make 1/2-inch board, so it'll flush right up to the sheetrock on the outside of the shower, and you can actually screw that directly to the studs. And now that's a styrofoam board, a compressed styrofoam board, kind of like the Weedy systems or the Vedi or however they say it. Compressed styrofoam, and then they have the Kerdi felt already adhered to it, so you just screw up the board and put it on there. And one thing that always kept me from using board of any kind was, of course, like if you've seen my other videos where we float the walls, I always want my surface that I'm setting tile on to be plumb, flat, true, straight, square, and that's the problem I always had with board. We'd screw it onto the walls, and then the wall is 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch out of plumb, and some studs are bowing out, and it's a crappy tile installation. You get a bad finish on it. But with the Kerdi-Board, what they taught me was you can actually put thin set onto the studs, and then you can plumb the board up using a level once you get the board up, and then let that cure, and then you can screw it to the studs. So once I learned you could do that, I was like, I got to check it out. And so you'll see in the video how I do that. The other thing is that with a self-contained water system, waterproofing, I don't need to wait for a hot mopper to come in or rely on like a PVC liner, which most other parts of the country do. So anyways, check out this video. I hope you like it, and again, ask questions. I love how you guys are responding and asking me questions. There's nothing else in this world that I like to talk about more than tile, which is kind of sad, but I really dig tile and installation and all the things that go along with it. So yeah, just check out this video, ask me questions, and good luck with it. And watching this video, that's no excuse for not reading the instructions that come with the drains and everything that Shluter makes. Anytime you're using a Shluter product, always read the directions. There's specifics that you have to follow, or you could end up with failures. One problem that people have is they'll use the wrong kind of thin set on the back of the tile. The Shluter calls for a non-modified thin set whenever you're going on top of Kerdi or underneath it, and so that being because if you use a latex modified thin set and there's no way for air to get to it, it won't cure. It'll take like a year to cure. So they call for non-modified thin set. My way around that, because I like a modified thin set, is to use the Ardex X5, which is actually a chemical curing thin set. So it's not a speed set that sets up super fast, but it's kind of in between. Has a pot life of 3 hours, and so in about 4 or 5 hours it's already set up. So even though Shluter won't warranty the product, if you use Ardex, Ardex will pick up Shluter's warranty and double it if you use Ardex products in the Shluter shower system. So Ardex is another great company. If you haven't used their products, I suggest you at least check them out. The X5 is great. It has good stand up. It has really good open time. The X77 is even better. It's a little pricey. You're up around like 35 bucks a bag. But again, all this stuff, you're going to pay more for materials, but if it saves labor, if it saves your back, if it saves stress, and makes your project go faster, I mean, come on, that's worth it. So at least try it. At least try it. So anyways, check it out. I know I've been rambling. I'll shut up and let you watch the video. So I'll talk to you guys later. I think so.
Okay, I'll take these two, you take that one.
2 sheets at a time. Again, if this was cement board, there's no way you could do that. So, and the beautiful thing is we can cut it up here with the razor knife and not create any dust. So it's a real good application for the Kerdi-Board. So the nice thing about Kerdi-Board is it has these lines on it. I should say a nice feature of the Kerdi-Board. It has lines on a grid, so you don't need to mark pencil lines on it. You can just use your razor knife and cut straight through it. And it's as easy as that. Again, this stuff almost makes putting up the board fun. It's just so easy to cut and move around. It's not hard on your hands, and there's no dust. So that's our first panel we'll cut, and we'll start putting. So now we're measuring cut around this bench. Again, these lines on here just make it so simple. And if you're a little short, again, it's not like cement board where it's a pain in the butt to do this. You just cut it right in place to make it fit in there. So there we go. You got a nice fit. Okay, so now what I'm doing, since the walls are never plumb, and that's why traditionally we like to use the mortar bed, and that's still a great installation. This way, by putting the thin set, this is Ardex X5. Getting it all over myself. It's Ardex X5, which is a modified thin set, and it has a shorter dry time. It cures up pretty fast. So it's kind of in between a fast setting mortar and your traditional mortar. In about 4 or 5 hours it'll be hard. So as you can see, I coated it on all the studs, and so when we put the board up, we're basically going to float the board until we get it plumb and right where we want it. Just real quick. Where's my 2 big boards? They're right out here. So now I'm just getting initial contact on all the studs. I'm just going to get it so the board's making good contact.
You can see I can't pull it off. It's got a good tack to it. That X5 is a really nice thin set. It has great tack. You can see how thick it'll stand up. I mean, it's still really tacky. See that? But it'll stand up real nice. So I've always liked Ardex products, and they have agreed, at least in my area, to warranty, follow actual double Shluter's warranty, and they'll go with a 10-year warranty if we use the Ardex products with the Shluter. Because it's a self-drying thin set, chemical cure, it's suitable for Shluter products. Okay, so now that I got the board up, I'm going to just use my level and kind of get everything where I want it. So we can get a nice true surface. That's nice. And see, I grew up, floating everything. You probably see my videos on floating a mortar bed, and I hated board. I would never use any board. But once I could learn that you could float it to make everything plumb, I said, hey, that's worth a shot. So, coming from an old school mud set guy, this is a really good way to go. So this is completely plumb, flush, and true. So I'm going to let this thin set up for 3 or 4 hours. That'll give me time to work on the floor, do some other things before I screw it. You don't want to screw it right away, because those screws are going to suck that board up back to the studs, and you're not going to be plumb and true. So we'll let this sit for a little bit before we put the screws in. I've packed thin set on the plywood. This is for our bench. This is nice because I won't need to screw anything down on this. This is basically going to just float and adhere with thin set. So it's real easy to level this thing out and get the right slope. Remember, on a bench you want about a 1/4 inch foot slope this way. So again, I got it just about where I want it. That's level that way. And we got a 1/4 inch per foot this way, so I'm level in the front, level in the back, and got a nice slope going this way. Okay, so these are the little washers. When you put screws in, we need to use these. And since this is already plumb and level where I want it, I don't need to put thin set back there because we have plywood. So I can just screw straight to it. Even if this was just studs, I could just screw under the studs and we would be where we want to. So since there's no thin set back there, I don't need to wait for anything to cure. I can just go ahead and screw these in. So these are real handy. Again, with the lines on here, if you have studs, it's real easy to stay in line with the studs. You don't have to mark any lines on the board. It just goes right in. So you just want to tighten them down so that they inset a little and they don't interfere with the tile going over the top of it. Yeah, we're right there. That's all there is to it. A freeform pan. It has a little adhesive strip on here to hold it together when it goes down. So again, I already had this pre-cut, and it should fit in here. It fits in just like that. Just holding these little flaps out here. So, and then pushing it down in the thin set really good. It's really important that this is set, since it's on a floor, in a real good bed of mortar. shake it around. If this comes loose at all, your tile will fail. Guaranteed. So you want this to be in here real well. I'm going to go ahead and stick this part down. I'm going to pack that little cavity with mortar. Just fill it all up. Curtain down. Now I'll comb my mortar for the flap to go down over the top of it. The side as well. These things flip up real nice like that so you can get in there. Make sure we got plenty of thin set in there. And we can always screed it out if we get too much packed in there. But I got a 1/4 inch notch trowel here, and it seems to work about right. Getting everything in there. Screed it off. Now we'll flip the little folds down. Gotta make sure there's no creases in here. You see how it's not creased at all? It's a nice line. You don't want any bubbles or creases, so that we get a real good seal right there. I need to go up a little higher on the bench here. Do the same going up. Okay, so one of the things with dealing with the Kerdi band when we waterproof everything is you want to make sure you don't leave too much thin set behind the band, because then things start getting built out and that kind of defeats the purpose of everything being plumb and level. So after you're done, just go through and I just kind of press everything out. I'm just peeling all that mortar back, bringing it all the way through the surface, and it's getting any of that extra thin set out of from behind there. The first thing I do when I'm doing the Kerdi band is I like to get my corners in place before I do the band going around. So I'm just going to go to all the in corners and out corners that I need and install those first. Again, I'm getting all the thin set out that I can, screeding much out of the corners so that we don't end up with a bunch of buildup. Get it in the corner real good. There we go. Okay, so I have all the corners done that we need to do, all the in and the out corners. You can see out corner, in corner, and then all around the drain. There's the detail on my drain. I got the out corner. With this Kerdi, the Kerdi-Band, everything needs to overlap itself by 2 inches. So when I run the band, you'll see next I'm going to overlap these out corner flaps 2 inches. So I'm going to bring it to about right there. But you can see I did all the... So now we have all our out corners in, and now I'm going around and putting the band around all of the seams. The band comes in rolls like this, and you just cut to the lengths. And again, the important part is you need to remember 2-inch overlap on everything. So you can see we have more than 2 there. If you're over 2, you're good. So I'm just putting the band that's thin setting in there, and putting it down. And I take my flat trowel, and I usually just hold with one hand while I screed with the other, and you squish all that thin set out from underneath it and get a real good surface, because again, we don't want stuff that's going to compromise it being nice and flat and plumb. So if you just hold it in one spot, you can screed all of the thin set out there. So do one side, come down and do the other. And as long as you have that 2-inch overlap, we're gonna be waterproofed here. We're gonna be good to go. Alright, so we're good there. Okay, so before we set the floor, I got all the Kerdi-Band up. Everything's all waterproof now, and the drain are ready to set the floor. I like to set the floor first on the Kerdi because that way we don't damage the waterproofing when we're in here working on the walls. But you can see these little these are little spacers that fit under the drain, and that's going to lift the rim of the drain up to the right height of the tile. That way that the tile it keeps that drain flange, because this is loose. This will come up and down. So you can set it with these little deals by tightening the screws down. And so I've packed thin set underneath the drain, and that's what's going to really hold it in place. And then you can pull those spacers out. So we'll go ahead and get this floor set. Okay, so here we kind of got everything wrapped up. The only thing we need to do is put some little patches on the washers right there for waterproofing. We'll do that tomorrow, but we went ahead and we put the shower floor in, so it's all ready to go for tomorrow. We can stack off of the floor, and burned up some thin set on the bench. But you can see the detail, it just finishes flush up against there, and of course the grate goes on top. But everything's flush. It's really cool to be able to use large format tile on a shower floor just to get rid of the grout. I mean, you don't have nearly as much grout. So everything's waterproof and ready to go. We started, didn't get here till about noon today, and it's about 5:30. So in 5.5 hours we went from just a rough drain to all the wallboard up, all the waterproofing done, and the floor set. So that would have taken, you would have had a hot mop, which would have eaten up a day. You would have had to get sheetrock in here, and then to float, you're probably looking at a day and a half's worth of work, and we did it in 5 hours. So again, the material's expensive, but overall it's a good product and saves a lot of time and labor. So that's that.